Rivian is finally open for business. Can you believe that after all these years? We'll check out their live configurator, some of the specs, the pricing, but did the two coolest features it's been flaunting for the last year actually make it into production? I'll tell you about that. We'll hear from their CEO, Scaringe, and InsideEVs contributor Tom Moloughney will put everything in perspective. We will get to see General Motors' electric pickup truck and the new Bolt for the first time. Tesla stops selling its $35,000 version of the Model 3 while finally joining the S&P 500 and opening its largest supercharger location ever. And our friend Eli Burton will give us a first quick look. Arrival will go public and bring their first electric bus to market with a very interesting manufacturing approach. Their CEO here in North America will explain, and more news from XPeng Motors, Electrify America, Mini, and of course Tesla. All of this is coming up next. Welcome to E4Electric, your number one source of electric car scoop. If this is your first time here, all you have to do is click on that red subscribe button and of course the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Let's get to our top story, and Rivian is finally, after almost 10 years, mainly in the stealth mode, but with very exciting last 2 years, is finally coming to your home. They have unveiled their online configurator where you can finally start configuring your cars for purchases. And the last week it was only available for the pre-order customers, but on Monday it's open for everyone. The configurator is pretty simple, but I mean it in a very good way, because there are enough options for you to be able to put together the truck or the SUV that you like, but not enough options for it to be confusing. There are plenty of exterior colors, a few interior color schemes, choices of wheels, and you can even upgrade from the standard 300+ mile range battery pack to the max pack with over 400 mile range, though you will have to wait until 2022 and it will cost you the additional $10,000. The only model you will be able to get next year will be the launch edition, which actually is very nicely packaged, but it will be followed by 2 more early next year. The prices after the federal tax incentive here in the United States will range from $60,000 all the way to $90,000 for the fully equipped Rivian, though these are pretty comparable to what I believe will be their gas competitors, which is the F-150, and I was able to configure a pretty much top of the line version for about $74,000, and for the Rivian SUV I've configured the Land Rover Defender with most of the reasonable comparable options for about $92,000. But what about the two most exciting features that Rivian has unveiled for us in the last year? And the good news is, yes, both are going to be available pretty much right away. And of course, I'm talking about the portable kitchen that goes into the gear tunnel and the tank turn. The portable kitchen will be an option for an additional $5,000, but the tank turn appears to be a free standard option. That's very exciting. I talked to Scaringe, Rivian CEO, earlier this year about how they even came up with this feature in the first place.
How did it come about? Did you guys think of it ahead of time and were able recently to execute it? Or you figured, hey, we got motors on each wheel, might as well have, have some fun?
Well, the quad motors, 2 motors per axle, 1 per wheel, the big driver on that was to allow us to have precise torque control at each wheel. So every wheel we're precisely controlling the torque real time. So if there's slippage, if there's snowy conditions, wet conditions, gravel, the vehicle's incredibly stable. But it also opens up all kinds of opportunities in terms of torque vectoring and using differential torque between the right and left-hand sides of the vehicle to create steering moments. So it can make the car feel more agile on and off-road. And really the most extreme embodiment of torque vectoring or using that differential torque between the right and left-hand side is to spin the vehicle.
For more, we turn to the InsideEVs contributor Tom Moloughney, but before that, a quick and exciting announcement. We got a new sponsor, and it's Electrify America. That's right, this segment is sponsored by Electrify America, the largest public fast charging network in the United States that provides the freedom for all electric car drivers to go anywhere they need to go, including coast to coast. Electrify America has ultra-fast chargers at speeds of up to 350 kilowatts for capable vehicles. Download their app to find hundreds of locations and sign up for their membership. Get started using the link in the description of this video. All right, Tom, so now we know the pricing and the packaging for 2021 and 22 for Rivian. It looks like it's at the final stretch. What are your thoughts on pricing? Do you think it's competitive with a Cybertruck? And I don't even know if we should be comparing it to Cybertruck, or there are maybe more notable competitors. What are your thoughts?
So yeah, of course it's going to compete with the Cybertruck in some ways, because it's a electric truck. So there's going to be some, crossover, but I don't think Rivian is really looking at the Cybertruck as their main competitor. I think Rivian's really going after the mainstream pickup crowd, the Dodge, the Chevy Silverado, the Ford F-150. And when you put it up against that, yeah, the Rivian's an expensive vehicle, but so are those. You can easily build out an F-150 and a Chevy Silverado to get up in the high 70s, $80,000. So, and with the federal tax credit, possibly local incentives, the Rivian, R1T is right in that ballpark. Now, yeah, it's going to be at the higher end of pickup trucks, and you can get some gas-powered ones that cost less. But, I think that it's priced, okay. I think if it was any higher, it might be pushing it, but where it is right now, I think Rivian's going to do well.
All right, agreed. And let's talk about the launch edition, right? This is the only one that's going to be available next year. And, a lot of people have been waiting for this for a long time. What are your thoughts about this, specifically the launch edition? Is this something that's, quite appealing to those who want to get it first? Or do you think there might be people who will be kind of waiting for the 2022 with a longer range and some other options?
So obviously a little of both. Yeah, I think there's going to be enough people to rush out and get this now, where Rivian's going to sell every one of them. But there's also going to be a lot of people waiting for the less expensive models to come out. And that's normal. But I don't think Rivian's going to have any problem selling as many of these as they can as they can produce. Now, fully loaded, it maxes out to $98,000. But that's when you include the $5,000 kitchen that goes in the center storage tunnel. Most people aren't going to want that or want to pay for that. It's a cool feature, but most people don't need that. And it's also with a $10,000 max battery option, which gives you over 400 miles range. Now, the standard version that they're releasing at the launch edition has over 300 miles range, which is going to be more than enough for most people. Might not be enough for those that want to tow a lot of weight all the time or really take this on long off-road adventures. But I think for most people, the standard pack's going to be fine.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, right? Like, I mean, normally I wouldn't even think about questioning a 300 plus mile range, because that's more than enough for, regular electric vehicles. But, this vehicle is definitely designed to go off-roading and tow stuff. Realistically, 300-mile range can easily go down to 100 something. I mean, in some extreme cases, right? The range is very different when you are on a different terrain. Do you think that 300-mile range may just not be enough for like kind of like an amazing vehicle like this?
So, for some people it will be, for some it won't. If you're going to be towing a camper, if you're going to be going on these really long, off-road adventures where there's nowhere to plug in, you're probably going to want to drop the extra 10,000 and get the max pack. But I think for many people, probably the majority of the people, the 300-mile standard pack is going to be just fine. I know if I was buying one right now, the 300-mile pack would be more than what I need.
All right. Now, we know that Tesla has been extremely successful, mainly, largely, especially in the beginning, due to their amazing fan base, call them what you want. And even though we have some other pretty good electric cars on the market, we haven't seen kind of a big following, a fan base for another vehicle, right? Jaguar I-Pace does not really have a big enthusiast that love that car. But do you think Rivian could be the first electric car since Tesla to create this, almost cult-like following?
So, well, let me say quickly, they wouldn't be the first, even if they did. NIO in China has a very similar type of extremely loyal following. So it's kind of out there already, not to the Tesla extreme, but there is another electric car startup that does have an extremely loyal following. It's just not a company that we're very familiar with here in the US. But no, I don't expect Rivian to have this Tesla obsession. I think you're going to have hardcore fans. I think you're going to have forums and online groups. And I think, there's going to be a lot of people that really love the brand. But I think, what Tesla's done and that following that they have is extraordinarily unique. And I don't think we're going to get that repeated in the automotive industry at all.
Did you guys know that Tom's got his own YouTube channel? That's right, don't forget to subscribe to his as well, and I put the link to it in the description of this video. Now, I know we've spent a lot of time on this channel talking about the Hummer EV, but this week we got to see some other exciting electric car models from GM, as their CEO Mary Barra and some of her top executives have outlined their electric car vision for the next 5 years, including investing $27 billion. Well, first we got to see the next generation Chevy Bolt, at least most of it. Now, this is not something that GM really planned. It looks like YouTube user MooseOBX actually spied what appears to be a video shoot for GM, and we got to see the next generation Bolt. I saw it in person back in March when I visited Detroit, but of course they did not allow any cameras. But as I've described to you guys, this kind of looks like if a Prius designer redesigned the Bolt. Let me know what you think in the comment section of this video. But let's get back to GM's official announcement that there were quite a few. First of all, they said that they will be upgrading the maximum range of their Ultium battery from 400 to 450. They will be expediting the Lyrics launch to early 2022. That's about 9 months. They've also moved the timeline a little bit up for the Hummer EV, but there were 3 elephants in the room that they didn't address at all, but we could see them. There were clearly 3 all-electric prototypes behind Mary Barra and the other executives, so let's talk about those. Now, the first one, which was the crossover, was kind of hard to see. That there's not much to talk about there. The second one was obviously pretty clear. That's the SUV version of the Hummer, and it probably will be launched in 2022, but the biggest prize was really the all-electric pickup truck that looked like the next generation all-electric Silverado. And with some help from our friends at Electric Design, we were able to render the truck so you can see it in its full glory. Let me know what you think. I think they got something here. I definitely do. Hopefully they will be launching it 2022, dare I say. Now, I know it's like halfway through the video and we haven't talked about Tesla yet. Well, don't worry, there's plenty of Tesla news, and we will start with not such a happy one. Apparently, Tesla will no longer be selling the $35,000 version of the Model 3. If you remember, it took Tesla a while to get to the $35,000 version, and almost right away it became an off-menu item, like it was like a fancy lobster dish at a French restaurant in Napa, and that didn't last very long either. The price went up to $35,400, and now it's completely gone. We are gathered here to celebrate a short but beautiful life of an affordable Tesla Model 3. It's gone too soon. Now, this shouldn't come to you as a surprise at all, because Tesla has done this before. They have axed the lower priced versions of the Model S and the Model Y. And in the future, you shouldn't be surprised if the entry-level model of the Cybertruck will meet the same fate. But let's move on to some more exciting news, because Tesla is finally joining S&P 500, and its stock has celebrated by going up and up and up towards the end of the week. If you remember, Tesla was snubbed from the inclusion into the index, even though it met all of the requirements. It was in favor of other companies like Etsy. Yes, the place where you can buy fine products like the dryer sheet Parrot at a deal price of $99, and look, there's only one available. It's a tropical friend that can also keep you static free, does not talk, but wants to learn. And here comes my favorite part, terribly made. Hey, just like Tesla's first MCU units. I know I make fun of Etsy, but in all fairness, unlike Tesla, they did bring the Cybertruck to market first. In other Tesla news, Tesla has opened its largest supercharger location in the world, 56 stalls. This is in Fireball, California. Now, before that, the largest one in the United States was in Kettleman City, which is only pretty much down the road and Interstate 5 here in California. That one had the lounge and a coffee shop. I really enjoyed my time there when I visited a few times. As you can see, the friend of the show and the president of my Tesla adventure, Eli Burton, was there just a few days ago. It looks like they're also building a few extra stalls so this one can grow. And as you noticed, all of the superchargers were V3. Now let's talk about Arrival Automotive. Now I have to admit that I haven't talked about this brand at all on this channel because I wasn't really sure if they were going to make it, but now they're forcing my hand. They're going public. So I guess I probably should have started covering them a while ago, but you know, don't be too hard on yourself, Alex. Everybody makes mistakes, you know? Arrival is going public in January versus a reverse mortgage. You know, it literally says reverse mortgage on my notes. Reverse merger. Maybe I've been watching too many old people commercials. The production will start in just about a year now that they will get a major injection of cash, and their first product to market will be an all-electric bus, but right after that, they also have an all-electric van. And this is an interesting part because besides Hyundai and Kia, one of their other investors is UPS, and they've already placed an order for 10,000 vans, much like the situation with Amazon investing into Rivian and placing their order of 100,000 vans. Now, that's not even the most interesting part about this company. The most interesting part is that they will have a bunch of mini factories all over the world producing these vehicles, specifically because they won't need to do any welding or painting. How in the world are they able to do that? Well, let's ask their North American CEO, Michael Abelson. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I have not covered you guys as much as I'm realizing I should have been covering you. And before we even get into your vehicles, what I've been more fascinated by is your manufacturing process. You guys are going with an interesting concept of having, you know, micro factories, I think you're calling it, all over the place, rather than having the big gigafactories. Right. Tell me a little bit about that and what is the advantage?
So the advantage is there's much less capital required to set up a microfactory. We use tens of millions of dollars of capital instead of hundreds of millions or even billions for a traditional factory. And we've developed our processes such that we can deploy our equipment in a building that wasn't built to be an assembly plant. We can actually lease a warehouse and set up a microfactory, have it up and running within 6 months. So it gives us a much more flexible approach to manufacturing. At the same time, it's distributed. So many more communities are going to get the advantage of having local manufacturing of vehicles that are used in their city.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, one thing that I've also kind of very much interested in, there is no pretty much welding or painting in your factories. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I mentioned that we have a lot less CapEx. I should have also mentioned we are a lot smaller building. So we're a couple of 100,000 square feet, where a traditional assembly plant is millions of square feet. And one of the big enablers for that is the fact that we have a proprietary composite material that we've developed. And the key to it is it eliminates stamping. So in a traditional assembly plant, you'd have a press shop where all the stamped sheet metal is made. We don't have those. And the composite material uses what's called in-mold color. So the color is actually molded into the panel. And that means we don't need a paint shop. So two of the big areas of a traditional assembly plant, we actually don't need. And that's part of what makes our buildings so much smaller. And then, I'm sorry, you also mentioned no welding. We use joining methods more similar to what's used in the aerospace industry, typically adhesives and mechanical fastenings.
Now, let's talk about Mini, because they have unveiled a very futuristic all-electric autonomous van that they're calling Vision Alphanaut. As you can see, it's graphically generated, which begs the question if they're actually planning on making it someday, or they just simply found out that one of their interns took a 3D computer graphics class and they're taking advantage. But all jokes aside, this is actually not that far-fetched. If we're talking about 5 to 10 years down the road, we will probably all be riding in self-driving pods that will have the furniture that we will be able to reconfigure just like in our living room, including a plant that we can kill by forgetting to water it. XPeng Motors, which is one of the sponsors of this channel, is going to be the first automaker to market to use the LiDAR in their production cars. They have just announced their 2021 model improvements, and that includes software and hardware, and of course LiDAR takes the center stage. And I know Elon Musk does not really like or use LiDARs for Teslas, but honestly all of the other self-driving prototypes of other companies all use this, and if you ask me, this doesn't hurt. Any new technology that can help improve the self-driving safety is fine by me. And by the way, the LiDARs are much better nowadays and cheaper. And of course, it makes it much harder for Tesla to make a case that XPeng Motors stole their self-driving software, because as now we can see, it's probably not going to work with the LiDAR. And also check out this limited edition of the XPeng P7 with the vertical doors. I love it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section of this video. Good news here in California, we got a new $1,500 rebate, and this one is super simple. Unlike the other few programs that we have here, even I don't really fully understand them, but this one I can understand. If you're buying an all-electric car or a plug-in hybrid car here in California with a battery larger than 16 kilowatt hours, you're qualified, and it happens instantly at the point of sale. So you don't have to apply for anything or do your taxes. It just happens. Lordstown Motors have announced that they have over 50,000 reservations for their all-electric endurance truck. On average, they have about 500 orders per fleet. It's mainly from other businesses. They've also mentioned that they will be expanding their staff to 500 employees by the end of this year and 1,500 by the end of 2021. Also, later this month, they will be opening their first service center outside of Ohio in California. This is consistent with what their CEO, Steve Burns, told me a few months ago. So is it from one particular customer? Is it from the business customer, or these are all just private parties?
They're all business customers. We have, I think, we have orders for. We have an order for 2,000 in one shot, 500s, 1,000. I think we announced 900 something from ServPro the other day. So they're pretty big chunks coming in.
But there's already some drama that's going on. You see, Karma Automotive is suing Lordstown Motors for poaching an entire team during working on the same project, which Lordstown Motors later canceled. I'll keep you updated. Electrify America, one of our new sponsors, has announced that they will be implementing the plug-and-charge technology in all of their 500 plus locations for the upcoming electric car models. The first models that will be compatible with this will be the Porsche Taycan, Ford Mustang Mach-E, and Lucid Air. Now, Tesla has been using this technology for their superchargers pretty much all along, and this makes it very simple for those of us who just want to come in, charge our car, and off we go. Everything gets automatically charged for the usage. You don't have to stick your credit card in there or have an actual membership card. It just magically happens. So kudos to Electrify America. Consumer Reports continues to have their love-hate relationship with Tesla, and now they're saying they're no longer recommending the Tesla Model S. This comes in the light of their latest auto reliability survey. They're claiming that Tesla Model S problems include its air suspension, its MCU, the main computer, the touchscreen controls, and so many other problems that I think most of us have known for years that Tesla has. So I don't know where Consumer Reports has been all this time. Though it's the same Consumer Reports that thought that the GM Super Cruise was much better than Tesla's self-driving technology, which is kind of laughable. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure why I'm talking about consumer. I should probably stop talking. If you're wondering what to watch next, how about my conversation with Rich Rebuilds, where we talk about how Tesla has created a cult-like following and why him and I are no longer members. Check that out. I put the link in the description of this video, and if you're watching me on YouTube, you can click on that link in the top right corner. All right, looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.